Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Thankful Thursday, April 7th, 2022. I'm on a 2 week. No, I messed up last week. I'm about a week in of doing good with the date, staying up with it. We have two guests that are coming in the room this morning in just a few minutes. One, the Momvacate. They're both parents. They're both community activists, and they're both in the midst of parenting and community activating. So we're going to bring them in just a couple of seconds, but just wanted to say good morning to folks that are in the room. Do me a favor, if you have any concerns about the opioid crisis, we know that Maura Healey just made an announcement the other day in reference to a class action suit where there will be more resources available to address this issue. And so we'll hear about that. We'll hear about both of their work and just what they have observed and seen since the Wu administration has taken over in the Mass and Cass area, or since the Wu administration has applied their policies to that area. Good morning to Kelly. Good to see you in the room. Sharon Cornelius, good morning to you. Sister Debbie, good morning. Dina, good to see you in the room. Also, Mama Java is in the room, and Auntie Paula is in the room this morning. Good to see you, Paula, in the room. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my first guest. I'm going to talk trash about him because he's mobile, but no, he feels that he has the best service in the world. Don't say what the service is because we ain't giving them no free advertisement. But Domingo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, James.
I haven't seen you on the screen in a while, brother.
Just been working, grinding, trying to stay active, making sure, the things I need to get done, especially in the house, are done before I leave. And, I got new business hours. My community service hours now is 9 to 5. No, I'm only kidding, but so much going on, as we, look forward to the spring months and the summer months.
Yeah. And before your hiring gets on, we know you move in a couple of different areas in reference to mass and caste violence, being a mentor. You're mobile this morning because you're going to be with one of your young people from, you said what, like 5 years ago that you used to work with?
No, I had him back in the 90s, and he got into a situation back in 2007, and, he was given life with parole, with possibility of parole. So today is his parole hearing. I'm actually shooting out there for some support, just to let him know I didn't forget about him. Absolutely. The promises I made to him when he was, 10, 11, I want to stay true to that.
Definitely, sir. And we have our mom for Kit in the room. You good? Did you take a second to breathe after dropping the boys off? And I know
interesting morning.
this 9 o'clock hour, I know is interesting for folks like you. I told Mingo, I said a few minutes ago that you guys are advocates, parents, mentors, activists, all of that, and you were in the midst of it this morning. And so let's jump in real quick. First of all, how are you both doing? Yahira, I'll start with you. How are you just doing? You've made some great achievements since you've been on the screen in the Java Cafe lately, but just catch us up real quick, and we'll do the same thing with Mingo, and then we'll jump right into what's going on with Mass and Cass.
So I'm doing fine. Just a mom, right? A lot on my plate. The last time I was here, I don't think the Java Cafe did not know that I was appointed as a school committee member.
Yep.
At the Blue Hills Regional Tech. So I'm now an elected official. I officially launched our family written book. My sons and I are authors. Juju Loves Popcorn. You can check it out on Amazon and trying to get it into Barnes and Nobles and a lot of different places. And yeah, I'm just being a mom. And
It's not just though, because sometimes if we say just, I think there's a when we say just, it's like we take a little bit away from it. But no, being a mom in itself is a whole lot. And as you referenced before, maybe we can do a catch up about that. I know you did the wonderful legacy media or the major media channel 25, but maybe you can come back and we go a little bit deeper into the book. We discussed it before, but maybe going in deeper around the impact and the responses from parents. Brother Mingo, what's going on with you, man? Catch us up. Again, you're out in the streets doing what you do, but how you doing?
I'm good, you know, maintaining, more than maintaining. Sometimes I hate saying that maintaining, but you know, getting what I set out to do, um,
Done.
moving,
Yeah.
working on, you know, the Boston Bengals, recruiting more kids, coaches, parents, pushing the Football for Fun program on Saturday, which is free at Clifford Park, keeping the park clean, helping the city design Clifford Park so you know future generations can use this beautiful space in Roxbury, and of course you know continuing advocacy work around the things that matter to us here in Boston. You know, mass and cash, youth violence, gun violence, BPS, you name it. Trying to keep my hands into different pots to make sure that some of the conversations are going in directions that we're looking for.
Absolutely. So Yahira, catch us up with there's a new administration. There's been a lot of activity. One of the things that I did notice that this administration has been more engaging. I remember seeing a tweet from Domingo. I think I saw a post from you where you were saying thank you for being invited into the room. And so, where are things as far as the interaction with South and Roxbury Partnership? You and Domingo. I mean, I know it's all one thing, but sometimes you get reached out to directly, Mingo as well. Where are things as far as working with the administration and your thoughts on the changes, and some of which kind of seem like they may be going back based on some posts that I've seen. So where are things according to your hire?
so I have to say that I have to give credit where credit is due, right? I would say that Wu's administration has done fairly well in communicating with us. And a huge shout out to Tanya Anderson, who
Yes.
represents, and she's in constant contact with either myself or, well, at least with me. I'm not sure with Domingos, but I think that she's definitely very inclusive. And when she reaches out to me, she'll reach out to Domingos. Um, and I'll say that they are engaging with us. They have brought us into spaces that we wasn't invited to before. I know that I've been part of the process for the MOU to address Pine Street Inn at the not Pine Street Inn, the BMC Medically Focused Initiative at the Roundhouse. So it took us 3 months to kind of get to a happy place where we
Okay.
kind of agree. Between the South End, it was the South End, Roxbury, and some folks in Southie and Newmarket. So we basically boiled it down to individual. BMC will be there for a year, but we had that same experience with Pine Street, and Pine Street ended up being there for longer. So there's a lot of pushback on saying, hey, if this farm and this partnership says a year, we're expecting this to be a year. So we've been part of that. And I know that there's been other conversations at Newmarket. Domingos can kind of talk about that. He's been part of those conversations about what may be happening at Clifford Park. But I just think that, I'll give credit where credit is due. Are we in a happy place where we're no? And I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I just appreciate the ongoing conversations that was not happening before.
Okay. Mingo, your perspective, as Yahira said, Clifford Park, New Market, where are things according to what you've observed and how you've been involved?
Well, you know, the Beehive got shaken up. A lot of the things that happened once Mayor Wu came into office around Mass and Cash shook up a lot of things. The dust is kind of settling in now as the spring months come in. The numbers increased like they do every April. Okay. Folks come in. We have new folks who come into the city during the spring months, and they saturate Clifford Park, they saturate Jim Rice Field, in areas close to Mass and Cass. So we're on the right direction moving forward, including folks who was not at the table before. And that's one of the positives out of the conversations, is the fact that, you know, there's other stakeholders who are being introduced to the conversation versus what it used to be. And that's the piece that is going to make the difference, is the fact that these new stakeholders who always been here, always lived here, actually are being heard. Are they taking a lot of our input? A lot of the plans that they putting out there, the C-Rocks group had put on the table years ago. And it's good to see that some of that stuff is being used. So that gives us, you know, the energy to continue to come back to the conversation, where before it was kind of like a mute conversation. So we're moving in the right direction. It's going to take a lot more work and energy, but it's moving.
So what I hear from both of you, that it's not perfect. And as long as we have people dealing with this issue, homelessness, violence, poop on the stoop, that it will not be perfect. And so I'm hearing from both of you that progress is being made, but there's still room, or I usually say a canyon, for improvement. And so based on what you said, Yahira, well, let me back up a little bit. So I just heard a trend from you that I wasn't aware of. In the spring, there's an increased influx of new or returning people that are, and, you know, we've talked before about some people do come with the pure intention of trying to get help because things are centralized in that area. But also with that influx are people that may not be trying to get help and may be perpetrating. We know that there are also dealers down there. And so talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, for a couple of seconds, about the influx in the spring, because in these past few years of like talking with you all and being aware and supporting, I never heard that before, that there is a period to where there's like a new influx. Yeah. Is that because the winter's over or whatever, or what's your impressions? And Mingo, I'll come to you. Go ahead, Yahira, and then I'm going to go to Mingo.
So I think that, like Mingo said, so this has been happening for years. Every year is a new wave of people. Every year, Mass and Cass sees over 100 new faces. And due to all the amazing stuff that's happening, where housing first it's an initiative that's being pushed by Wu's administration. You can go Mass and Cass now, and there's a whole new wave of individuals that wasn't there last spring, right? So, and this new wave of individuals seem a little bit more younger, a little bit younger. It looks like the mid 30s and under group this time that are looking like they're kind of, you know, in that area. And also we're seeing individuals who were supported last winter time when the tents were taken down, who might have left their treatment facility, because that's another thing. Around this time of the year, treatment facilities start seeing decline of individuals that are, you know, going into facilities to get help because it's warm outside, right? So, and you see this wave all the time, and I think that that's what worries the community, is this ongoing increase of people that come into this location every year with the intent to get help, but oftentimes get stuck. And the question really becomes, can Boston house thousands of people every year just on Mass and Cass?
Let me kind of expand that question as I throw it to Mingo. Mingo, there's been one of the things that you and Yahira have talked about a lot, is the relationship, the intergovernmental relationship with the governor's office and then other municipalities, as we're talking about now, where these people are coming from. In relation to what Yahira said, from your knowledge base, where are things with the interaction with the state, the Wu administration, you know, Quincy, other municipalities? From a political standpoint, Mingo, where are we?
Well, again, it's the hamster in the wheel. They're just spinning it. And it's like, you know, same conversation for the last God knows how long. And the support from the state, again, they opened up Shattuck Hospital. They gave like 20 bungalows or little shed temporary housing. It's not a permanent thing. They had some construction issues when they were trying to build and bring in, you know, power lines and sewer lines. So they were, you know, pushed back a month, pushed back 2 months, to the point where now, you know, 20 houses, it's a dent, but it's a small dent. Okay. When we have a population of, you know, 200 to 300 people, it's only a small dent. And, you know, the state can do much more. The state can use a lot of its state properties across again, we have 14 counties. Each county should have its own treatment center. So folks who are in the Berkshires, which is a county, can actually get treatment. People in Springfield who live in the Berkshires, people in Worcester County, people in Essex, Middlesex, Nantucket, Suffolk. So, you know, Suffolk is the smallest, Suffolk County that we live in is the smallest landmass out of all counties. And we take the brunt of it. And that's something that the government, especially the governor's office, that they just was awarded $300 million out of a $524 million settlement to deal with opioids. And Boston was only given $22 million. You know we need that funding. You know we need the support. And $22 million, that's all administration fees. That's all upper management fees. Those are people's salaries when they're making $230,000, $250,000 a year. You're talking about peanuts for an issue that's, you know, James.
So no.
I'm glad we're having this combo.
No, I'm good. So what I'm hearing is that locally things are progressing, but we understand that there's a relationship between the state and the local municipality. So locally things are progressing. But what I'm hearing from you is there's still a lot of red tape within the relationship and the support needed from the state. Yahira, I see you shaking your head. Do you agree?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, we're seeing some of the talks that are coming up in this upcoming election, you know, for the governor's race. And I just seen, and, you know, I'll keep people nameless, but I was shocked that a person who's running for governor said that they support safe consumption sites. And when I read that, I'm like, wait, are we going to have safe consumption sites next to your house? Are we going to have them in Swampscott? Are we going to have them in a white community? Because like Domingos and I was speaking the other day, you go to South Boston. South Boston has a police cruiser stationed at their park. The Blackstone Park in the South End has a stationed police officer in their park. Clifford does not have a stationed police officer in their park. Neither does the Jim Rice Field. So then what all it boils down to, when things hit the fan, it's always going to impact Roxbury. More than it's going to impact the South End, and more than it's going to impact Southie.
So if I heard you correctly, there's a cruiser, at least some support from BPD that should happen at the same equitable level that it's happening at the Blackstone. And so Clifford and Jim Rice Field aren't covered from you all's knowledge of having a cruiser or at least a police presence there. And I know there are different thoughts about that just sitting there parked. So that's one of the things that is an action item that if anybody runs into our elected officials, the mayor, governor, BPD, there needs to be equitable law enforcement support presence, for lack of better words, at Jim Rice Field and Clifford Park. Yahira, you said something else, but my brain is one. I haven't finished all my coffee yet. As far as like treatment, where I know there's different thoughts, you brought up the safe consumption. Mingo, let me ask you, where are things with theirs? Because I know there are a difference of opinions with safe consumption sites versus not having them and everything that comes with them. Where are things with that as far as locally in Boston? How are things with that? Are they, because I know at one point they had the big place down by in the back of the BMC with the black netting and all of that. Where are things in Boston with the safe consumption sites?
Well, you know, through conversations, you know, Boston is supposed to get 2 safe consumption sites. And the issue for me is the wording. Most impacted communities. So we always going to get the short end of the stick because they always throw that into the language. We're going to provide services to the most impacted communities, just like they did with the dispensaries. Most impacted communities is always the Black and brown communities. So you're going to get it in Lowell. You're going to get it in Haverhill. You're going to get it in Boston, but you're not going to get it in Quincy. Quincy is still fighting Boston on the bridge.
On a few things.
And the governor can step in. You know, when you hear the mayor of Quincy says, we're concerned about what the Coast Guard is going to say. The EPA already gave the green light to Boston to build. It's not going to disturb the ocean life on the bottom because of what they're going to be doing. So all those concerns were put out there 4 years ago, and those have been hashed out. You know, to say that we as a city, as a town of Quincy, we don't want 300 heavy machineries coming in and out of our city, but the bridge from Boston into Quincy, all those trucks that go to Quincy come through Boston, get off the highway on Gallivan Boulevard, and then go into Quincy to do other construction. So his rationale doesn't make sense to me. And, you know, again, when we talk about the most impacted communities, let's not forget 69% of the overdoses in Massachusetts are Black and brown men and women.
Yep.
And a story that came out the other day in U.S. News, it's across the country that the numbers of overdoses in the Black community are on the rise. We're not getting treatment. We're not getting services. We're still being called crackheads. There's no sensitivity when it comes to us in the Black and brown community around this treatment conversation.
So, but what? So I heard two different things there. There was the safe consumption site, but then you talk treatment. So they'll put a safe consumption site in the most impacted area. And if this is you all's wheelhouse, safe consumption site is not a treatment center. Am I correct?
No, it's not.
So
it's a Nino Brown. It's a Nino Brown spot.
It's a government Nino Brown. Just saying. That's, you know.
And
Safe consumption sites are medically focused, which is why I was concerned when BMC brought the language of medically focused initiative at the Roundhouse. So the safe consumption sites are designed for individuals who are users to go into this medically focused facility to bring their illegal drugs, because it's not legal, mi gente. Drugs are not legal just yet, okay? And they go in there, they have a nurse who'll check the drugs to make sure that they don't die from that drug. It allows individuals to be given more needles that they're already getting from the needle exchange program. And they sit there and they're supervised by a nurse. And they'll have providers as far as case managers and all that in this facility to basically monitor a person who's consuming a drug. And here in Boston, just so that people don't, for those that don't know, there is a Boston Users Union. They created a union, and I don't know how many of you guys have read this, and we posted it several times, that part of what the Boston Users Union is petitioning that they also want childcare at these facilities. So you and I can go in there with our baby cakes, okay, with our little babies, to go and be in a different room while we inject, and our babies are going to be there sitting, being monitored by, I don't know, like, is it going to be EEC certified staff? I don't know, because I've been asking that question for a minute too, but nobody wants to answer that. And so these are the things that are being petitioned. And what frustrates me is that what I'm trying to register is that if this is the new wave and this is what we consider progressive, I understand that addiction is a disease and it takes a multi-steps to help people recover. But what I don't understand is that if the goal is to help people recover, how are we giving them individuals all the tools for their pain and suffering, and we wonder why it's taking them time to recover? And how many liquor stores are in Roxbury? When you go to a white community, how many liquor stores do you see in a corner in a white community? So this is what I need our community to understand, is that they want to say impacted communities, but then they flood our communities with all these services, meeting people where they are, centralized services there. How many liquor stores do we need in a hood?
I mean,
why do we need a safe consumption site in a hood? And then we wonder why we can't beat poverty. Why they continue to say, oh, we need another initiative on top of another initiative to address the deficit in the Black and brown community. And we're inducing our communities with the mess.
But see, that's what I heard from Mingo when he said, and I wanted clarity from y'all, that safe consumption is not treatment. So there's advocacy for safe consumption in the most impacted. So Mingo, where is the treatment advocacy in the most impacted? Where are they? And I know that maybe schools.
Asking that, James. We've been asking that. We've been asking since day one, since all this conversation about safe consumption, what is the goal of a safe consumption site if individuals just go there to inject themselves with an illegal substance, right? Like fentanyl, that is not legal. What is the goal? Nobody can answer that. Answers that. Oh, to reduce. Oh, wait, no, it's to reduce overdoses.
No. Let's in you're a fair person, both of y'all. In fairness and balance, there's probably a percentage of people. I don't know if there's data that I get coming from back when the STIs and HIV back in the day. Being an educator, I understand the general concept of harm reduction, but perpetuating spaces for continued use, I don't know how much reduction without intentional treatment. I don't know how much intentional reducing we're doing. Bingo, your thoughts.
Well, James, I understand the concept. You want to, it's harm reduction, right? In one hand, but the needle exchange program, 1991 ordinance, the city of Boston, first in the country to deal with the HIV/AIDS pandemic, right, has never been revised. I have footage of literally put my hand in the window, getting 5-6 syringes, take my hat off, put my hand back in the window, within 30-40 seconds from getting the first 5 or 6 needles, never giving them anything in exchange, and got another 5 or 6 needles.
No treatment numbers, no call this number if you're trying to get off. We understand now, blah, but
none of that. So for us is, why don't we try revising something that you say works? The transmittable diseases in the area is skyrocketing. The numbers are going up. They're not going down. So you can't say, oh, we're giving needles out because we want to reduce the amount of harm, but then on the back end of it, the overdoses went up. The transmittable diseases went up.
HIV's back up.
5 million needles were given out in 2020. There's, again, not everybody's using our mass and cash. There's 700,000 Bostonians. 5 million needles. If they gave every Bostonian a needle, it's almost 1,100 needles per person. But the population that they're saying they're catering to, it's about 400. Not everybody's using. When you divide those numbers, you're talking about 14,000 needles per person. So where does that make any sense when we're finding them in our schoolyards? We're finding them in our playgrounds. We're finding them in our front doorsteps, back door, in our cars. People are using them as weapons to rob individuals. So why don't we go back to that exchange program and revise that and say, hey, you know what? It's a 1-for-1. Instead of what the new initiative was put out, 20 cents per needle. Individuals can collect needles on the street and turn them in between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day, except the weekends, for $10. And then to go back on the safe injection site, I get to stand outside as a local businessman, right? Because I'm not a drug dealer. I'm a businessman, right? And sell my product as you enter and exit the safe injection site.
So that's what I wondered when you were saying and giving the money. So unfortunately, the money that's collected to get the needles off the street is also at the same time. And again, we want to believe that money they would take it and buy food or something. Maybe that's what the program is believing. But if I'm hearing you correctly, the truth of the matter is the collection of the needles can potentially also still supply
It does, James. There's enough people out there giving out food. And a shout out to all these groups. Come back and clean the mess, though.
The next day,
leaving the mess for us to clean. These groups coming from outside of Boston, come back and clean the mess. Come back and help pick up the trash in our parks, in our schoolyard, on our doorsteps, in our cars, in our shopping malls. You can't use the bathroom at Home Depot without somebody ODing one stall from you. You can't use the bathroom at South Bay Stop and Shop without somebody ODing one stall next to you. Stop and Shop has renovated their bathroom
and put it outside.
People were hiding. It was outside for a little bit because they were renovating. People were hiding drugs in the bathroom. So they got rid of everything in the bathroom. You can't hide anything in the bathroom anymore. because of the countless drugs and needles they were finding. So we are not advocating to get rid of people. We're advocating for them to actually tighten up the reins, for BPD to make the arrests. The state police chased a guy the other day to the casino. He got charged. So why is it that here in Boston, folks can do as they please and they get a pass?
Right.
You can have sex in the park in front of people and you get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't happen in well, let's say parts of Boston, because there's certain parts of Boston.
No, James, it won't happen in the white community. Let's keep it all the way real. We're not here for the cookie cutter stuff. It will never happen in the white community. We all know that no one, and let's even keep it further real, because what you're seeing is a lot of the white individuals that are coming from white communities that are coming here to Mass and Cass, right? Who are selling their fentanyls in form of pills. I'm not sure how they're not getting locked up, but since we're speaking on equity all the time, if you look at the number of arrests that are happening on Mass and Cass, there's a trend. They're all Black and brown. Okay, so are we saying that essentially the white individuals with their little prescription pills that maybe nobody checks because they're in a pill, right? They're prescribed, right? That they're not sending fentanyl and pills? When that's a trend? So more Black and brown individuals are continuing the narrative that Black and brown males are drug dealers. You know what I mean? Like I'm
just trying to make it fit in my mind, and it's not fitting.
It's my point exactly. And so I just don't get the concept of we create a space, right? Imagine you being a kid living in a hood, and your mom can't make ends meet, right? Whatever's going on in your household, you keep looking out your front door or out, in your community, and you're just seeing
your classroom, looking out your classroom window,
and you're seeing, some sadness, and somebody teaches you to say, listen, there's a lot of money out in these streets, and you want to help your mom keep those lights on, right? And guess where they're gonna go? Right on Mass and Cass. To make those quick dollars to go pay those bills to keep those lights on to help mom and dad, or just mom, a single mom who's doing it by herself. So we continue to push these narratives that are not real, right? Who are hurting the Black and brown community more than they helping our community. And I think that we fail to understand that, because at the end of the day, white people know how to navigate systems. Black and brown individuals.
Oh, because a lot of them were designed, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So you already
know.
Right. So then we're scared to ask for help. We're scared to seek and address systems, because systems were never designed to help us. So guess who takes advantage of all of that? Right. And it's the same thing with understanding as to if more Black and brown individuals are dying of overdoses on Mass and Cass, why are they not prioritizing the Black and brown community to get into treatment?
That
we haven't asked how many sober homes, because if y'all remember Blue Hills back in the day, Blue Hill Ave back in the day, it took the city a minute to clean up Blue Hill Ave. There's a slew of sober homes in Blue Hills,
all throughout the community.
Right. And then why they always place it in the most impacted community?
The language.
Never put this in a white community, because white people don't want to see that, and they don't want to see their property values go down. They don't want to see their school districts go down the drain, right? And so these are the conversations that we have to have, and it's not about, again, like Domingo said, it's not about helping people, it's about calling out the stuff that needs to be called out. This, again, will never happen in a white community, y'all, and we all know it. And so they use the poor Black and brown plight to push initiatives that they don't want to see in their own community.
It boils down to this right here.
Boom.
Votes matter.
Yeah, it does. It does. Votes do matter. But again, speaking up.
After
vote
the
is
vote.
Speaking up.
After it is speaking up, but
well,
after
hold on, Jay. Hold on. Because a lot of people we elected, there's 13 city councilors. Okay, we had a school that was going in West Roxbury, and they said we don't want it in West Roxbury, and they put it on Mass and Cass.
I saw that story the other day, and
one city councilor, to my knowledge, One city councilor has made a public statement, and that's Ricardo Arroyo. Where's the other 12? Where's the mayor at? We're talking about breaking down the racial barriers within Boston. And our children, our youngest minds who are innocent to the politics, who are innocent to the red tape, who have no clue what's going on, right? They just want a school that they can go to and feel safe enough. But instead, the politics of Boston, right, is causing these individuals now to be smack dab in the middle of Mass and Cass.
So I read a little bit of the story. People in West Roxbury didn't want them up there. I seen some of the comments that some of the people made in the meeting and all this other stuff. And so now the school is being slated to be built near Mass and Cass
Market.
And so now let me play devil's advocate a little bit. My hope and belief would be that someone is looking, first of all, the treatment, and I want to recap some of the action steps in my brain. So just remind me to do that before we go. I would think that if they're going to put the school there, that I would hope simultaneously they're working aggressively to make sure that when the school opens up, that this issue in the centralized impact area down there by Mass and Cass, which is not really the most impacted area because it's anyway, that they would have it cleaned up by the time the school goes. Now, playing devil's advocate, that's a y'all are both smiling at me.
James, listen.
James, you just think everything is going to be no.
James, we got Orchard Gardens.
There you go.
The Mason, the Blackstone. There's 10 schools within walking distance from Mass and Cass. They haven't done anything to protect those students. It took us a year to get a fence to keep people from camping in the back of the Orchard Gardens. We had to go through so much red tape to get them to say, hey, yo, we need to make this a safety priority. The last administration put two needle containers, black needle containers, as a solution to the problem. So bringing another school to the area is not going to clean up. I mean,
look at this point right here, and it's so simple, but it's so simple and profound. Right. A school next to the highway and the jail.
Right, because it's black.
It's going to cater to a very black and brown demographics, right? And this is the hypocrisy that's been bothering me. And I literally wore this shirt because I was like, Jahada, don't go on there with this hostile, negative energy. You know what I mean? You know, deep breaths, Jahada, deep breaths, right? And this is the stuff that bothers me the most, is that we continue to say how the black and brown community, you know, all the traumas that we have to go through, but yet everything that we're talking about, we still continue to expose our kids. Are white kids experiencing this level of trauma in their community? Are they waking up and seeing people overdose on their steps like Ashland, that they have to step over a needle while they're walking to school? Are they seeing individuals injecting themselves on their stoops while they're trying to go to school in the morning time? Absolutely not. And so yet we want to continue to push these narratives, and then our black and brown kids are just less than who? Why can't we have the same opportunities than the white kids have?
It boils down for me for the inequity, and there are real things right here where Paula is saying that her daughter gets anxiety. Kelly was sharing that her son asked, you know, can we drive another way home? So it's not even the ones that are okay, let's say the school's built tomorrow, the ones that would be there, but we know about Ashland. We know about all the children that have seen folks just in the area. I had my own experience, so if I've responded like that, I know the children do. And so
look, I said, oh yeah, James, welcome.
It's like, yo,
you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
You broke down. As a person who cares, you broke down. You're like, Mingos, like, that can't be real. Am I really seeing this guy flip his cell phone to inject himself in his neck? I say, yeah, James, that's, 8, 9, 10 times a day.
Right.
People, Jada, which is another one of our young members of the group, she advocated with her classmates for a few years, and it got to a point where she had to leave the school in her community to go to another school outside the community, because the people in power, the people who we vote for, who say we're gonna do, and then we get crickets.
Right.
And this is why, again, everyone says, "Oh, Mingo's delivery." Listen, man, fly a kite, kick a rock.
Mingo.
Come sit with me. Like I said to Marty, come sit with me and hold a 5-year-old's hand while he's trying to play in the playground, and you got to ask the people to stop having sex while you walk away with this kid, so the next kid can come to the park without having to deal with the same issue that you just tried to get rid of 2 minutes ago. It's not fair to the children. For me, I'm already a lost soul, right? But for the kids that live in our community, and this is what gets under my collar, this is what takes me to the next level, is the fact that we talked about it as teenagers. Yo, I don't want that lifestyle for myself. I'm going to make sure when I have kids, my kids will never witness that.
I mean,
look
at this point, 10 years ago, there was a resolution. And I know there was difference of opinions around having the treatment center located at the old, was it Jewish Memorial? That was on Townsend Street. And so there is a history of ideas. There is a history of trying to say that we can't have this continue to be the same way that it's going to be. So I want to, because I know you got to get into court. 2 things that I heard from you, and it's probably more. One thing was that we need to advocate for a police presence in Jim Rice Field and also Clifford Park. I also heard that there needs to be equity and balance between a safe injection site and where real treatment to get better treatment. Those need to be located in the most impacted areas. Those were
no. Hold on, Jay. Not out the most impacted areas.
No, I'm talking about treatment.
Treatment. We don't need no more treatment centers in Boston, in Roxbury.
Okay, this is why I'm recapping.
And this is what I was saying to you. The language says the most impacted communities. So automatically, Roxbury qualifies. Dorchester qualifies.
Okay, I got it now. So the safe consumption sites, same language, most impacted communities, but you all are advocating for the treatments too to be away from Black and brown communities, so it doesn't bring the same.
You can recover
consumption.
So you can recover. You don't want to listen. There's no way in the world, like Jahida said about the liquor store. You know, you live in front of a liquor store. You're alcoholic. Every time you come out the house, you go to the liquor store. You're not going to get any better. You know, the liquor stores in the white community close at 9 o'clock, but I was closed at 11. I was open up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Theirs open up at 11 and close at 9. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense when you say you want to help the community, but you keep saturating the same community. You're asking for us to be compassionate, have empathy, have sympathy for other people. We don't get none of that. No one comes and helps when we ask for the help. When we go to the governor's house to demonstrate, and we got a 3-year-old in the stroller, a 4-year-old, a 12-year-old, we're the most hostile group of people because we're advocating for the future of our community. We're killing our community in many ways. But this is not something we're doing to ourselves. This is being done to us through the systematic policies that create racism within the government. Those policies shouldn't have. Anyway, man.
No, you're good, because what I want to do is I named them action items for a reason, to understand that even though it may not be organized here, as residents, you got voices to hit up your city councilor and say, hey, I just saw something this morning and heard that there's no police presence. And a matter of fact, can you tell me what your opinion is about safe consumption sites? And then how are you advocating that treatment and safe consumption is not going to be over densified, if there's such a word, in Black and brown communities? And so I definitely heard that there. I want to shift intentionally for 2 reasons. One, today's Thankful Thursdays. And 2, well, I'll just do one thing because we named some of the resolutions. It's Thankful Thursdays, and you all do a lot of work. It's heavy. It's heavy. And so I want to ask you guys, I've been starting with Yahira first, so I'll start with Mingo first this time. Mingo, tell me something that you're thankful for, bro, because this is heavy, and I want you all to leave in somewhat of a balanced, maybe not totally good space, because if you're like me, you don't get off camera and hang up the phone. Your brain is still going to be going about everything that we talked about for the next hour and a half. So Mingo, thankfulness, something that you're thankful for.
You know, James, I'm just thankful to be able to get up every morning and continue to advocate for this. There's
Don't take
1,700
it.
black.
Nope, no word.
Hold on,
Thankful. Don't take
hold
it.
on. I'm thankful that I can advocate for the 1,700 black and brown families that lost a loved one in 2020 to the opioid crisis, and the same numbers in 2021. I'm thankful for the fact that I have the energy to be able to do some of this work, because I'm not going to say it's heavy. It's something that needs to be done. And as long as we continue to add, certain words to it, complex, voluntary, heavy, stuff like that, people are going to run from the advocacy type of work that, again, this group was formed, again, through your support, through your help. This group was formed organically because people like you, people like Jahada, myself, Marla, Isa X, Izzy, like the group came together because we have family members who have gone through the path of recovery, who are still using, who are still trying to get placed in housing. So I'm just thankful to have friends like you guys to make sure that, when I get up in the morning, Jahada calls me 7, 8 o'clock, like, yo, Mingos, you read this? Same with you, James. And that's what I'm thankful for, just to be a part of the solution instead of being part of the problem, like many of us were in the 90s.
I'm not going to fuss too much because I can't regulate your thankfulness, but it was heavy work worded. But I'll fuss at you and text you later and then cuss you out. Ira, thankfulness.
So I'm thankful, I'm thankful for my children and my family, because I wouldn't be standing here and doing this work if it wasn't for my family. I'm thankful, to being blessed again with 2 amazing little boys who teach me patience and teach me new versions of being kind and
Talk about harm reduction.
right and understanding that, and it's weird because we talk and the boys was like, Mom, I know you don't trust people, I understand how you grew up, you talk about us, but it doesn't have to be that way. And so I'm thankful to hearing that my kids don't have not experienced a lot of the traumas that I've endured, living and growing up in Roxbury and living in the direct and growing up in the direct path of Mass and Cass. So I'm thankful for having that opportunity and having a family who understands the work and encourages me to continue to do the work.
I really appreciate both of you. And I don't know if you saw this, but one of the comments said, I'm thankful that the 2 of you are out in front advocating. And I'll end that right there because I share the same sentiment. And, though in the beginning was out there on Mass and Cass and whatnot, and as you all know, we lost Mingo. You all know you have my support, may not be as visible, but and there's some things today that I've heard that in some of the conversations I have at various levels, I will casually mention that at least the police presence and doing a real assessment
Right.
of what we define as impact and what we define as community, based on what you all were sharing about most impacted communities. That is what we're walking away with, the action items of the police presence. And then how, when we see these elected officials in the community, what are your thoughts on Mass and Cass? Can you define for me how you're advocating that safe consumption sites and treatment centers be moved away from Black and brown communities? There are simple questions you can ask while we're opening back up and folks are going into the community. Walk up on your elected official. Hey, how are you? And just start asking questions. That way, when this comes up in policy or Yahira or Domingo show up at a hearing, something clicks.
Right. And even thinking about even solutions, James, and we keep talking about the 1991 ordinance on needles, right? Maybe it's time for us to barcode these needles and scan them, to say to tell us how many needles they're actually given, not like projecting a number, right? How many needles are you given? Can someone write their name and say, I gave it to Jill Smith, right? Because in so many of these Facebook groups, because due to our work, a lot of people were able to grow their own platform. because of our work. They started creating Facebook groups for finding missing loved ones on mass and cast through our work, right? And so barcode these needles so that when families are looking for their loved ones they have not seen for months, there's a paper trail that says, hey, looks like Jill Smith was here on Tuesday, November 5th, and got a pack of needles. And then furthermore, also addressing the fact that there are individuals that are sitting at the BMC morgue under John Doe or Jane Doe because there's so many.
No one knows who they are.
And not enough outreach workers for people to know people's names, y'all. Imagine if your loved one is sitting at a morgue for months and they hold you there. Mingos, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 4 months.
Yep.
They will hold you at the BMC morgue for 4 months before they cremate you. 4
Yes.
months. So there might be times that if you haven't not heard, and this is realistic, and I'm sorry if this sounds insensitive, but it's not. This is the rawness and the sadness and the pain and suffering that happens in this location, is that if you are family and you have not heard from your loved one in 4 months, listen, call the BMC morgue. I'm keeping it all the way real. Call the BMC morgue because your loved one might be sitting there under Jane Doe or John Doe. And those are the real conversations that people need to be having, not this cookie cutter kindness. You know, you can be kind and go to mass and cast and give individuals food, socks, need everything they want, but that's not helping individuals survive. And that's just the bottom line. So kindness is not overturning an overdose, people. It's not.
It's changing the policies and procedures.
And Yahira, I'll push back on this just one little bit. They're helping them survive. They may not be helping them thrive. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference there. And so, listen, I really wanted to end on a positive note because I know what it is to advocate and whatnot. And so I really send strength you guys' way. You all put the fist and arm strength all up in the comments because I've watched you all. We would be remiss if we did not name Leon Rivera, who was very instrumental in Needles in the Park and this, and is still doing work that I see here and there pop up on Twitter. And so I appreciate both of you all, the Mother's Board and all of y'all keep them in prayer and cover it. They both are married with children. And I know sometimes their spouses want to, and so keep them covered, keep their families in prayer, and pray Godspeed. And I don't know, I just got this, and you know this is Jesus. Mingo, I don't think I have your Mingo, I do have yours. Yahira, I might have yours. I'm gonna send y'all just, and you know this is Jesus. I just felt this. I'm gonna send y'all a little encouraging cash app just to go, I don't know, if from coffee to something.
Send it to the Bengals.
Send it to, well, I owe you a donation for the Bengals anyway.
Send it to the Bengals. Listen, man, you know, for me, it's all about my young folks, you know, and you're absolutely right. You know, we as a city can do better. I'll always go back to that 69% of Black and brown ODing across the state. I'll always go back to that because we already lost a whole generation. You and I and everybody knows we have friends who were born into the crack epidemic who are still suffering from it. We have friends who are still in prison from the crack epidemic. We still have children who are being born into the drugs in our community, and we're not getting anywhere closer to the end if we keep ignoring the facts. Just because when you drive down Mass Ave, the first thing that stands out is the individual who's not from your community doesn't mean that they're the majority in this issue.
That's right.
Okay, there's more than half. 69% is more than half of 2,200. So there's more Black and brown men and women dying in the state of Massachusetts from opioid-related deaths than homicides, suicides, and car accidents.
It's hard, James. It's hard to end on a positive note because there's nothing positive about mass and cast. And this doesn't mean, and let me say this because sometimes our words are always being, you know,
misconstrued.
Twisted. People, this does not mean that the work from the individuals that are down there is not powerful. This does not take away from the
Right.
work that are people that are trying to do their job. But what it boils down to, that it's hard to have this conversation because everything that we witness is pain and suffering.
Suffering.
And there's nothing that none of us can say in this room that is positive, that is amazing. When you're seeing human life defecating on sidewalks, women being fondled while they're incoherent. You got one man holding her, Domingos, you remember this. You got one man holding her this way, another man holding her, and she's knocked out like this, and they're about to take her somewhere to do God knows what to that woman's body while she's incoherent.
Someone's daughter, someone's mother, someone's aunt. So James, like I said, this is a conversation that I'm glad you checked back in. I hope we can come back in, in a couple of weeks.
Yahira knows this delay wasn't because of not trying. Y'all just been busy and stuff, and I'm missing, but always open.
Yeah, so folks can understand. Don't let what you see on the news sugarcoat and put lipstick on a pig. This thing is thriving, is growing. It's in Franklin Park. It's in Fields Corner. It's in Andrew Station. It's in Ashmont. It's in Mattapan Square. It's in Forest Hills. It's all over the city, and it's us. It's you and I. It's black. It's people. It's people that look like us three who are down there. And again, like Jahida said, people always says, "Oh, we revived someone." Listen, man, I'm glad you saved their life, but I don't want to talk about how many times you revived Domingos. If you're reviving Domingos 5-6 times a week, something needs to be done. Yeah, people get revived.
Harm reduction is over then. At that point, you're in harm, and we need to reduce that.
Right.
So,
but I gotta let y'all go.
I know. Go in and get in there. Yahira, I love you, both of you.
Y'all be
guys.
good.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank y'all. As always with Domingo and Yahira, definitely informative, challenging, mobilizing. I'm sitting here. I got the little right twitch over my eye in reference, because when you just hear about injustices and you hear about systems and structures that can, with the stroke of a pen or a couple of meetings, a MOU, can be changed. And this is why we ask the question, is it intentional? Because you can intentionally change it. So if you're not intentionally changing it, one would just believe that you're being intentional about leaving it the same. So anyway, today is Thursday. You all will not, well, you all will see me tomorrow at 9 a.m. You may see me this evening. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, I had Professor Cornell Brooks from Harvard Kennedy School, the William Monroe Trotter Institute. They're celebrating their 150th anniversary this afternoon and tomorrow. And I'm going to hang up on the Harvard campus this afternoon and tomorrow. And we'll be in the press room doing interviews with the speakers and just talking about the event. And I think it's most apropos that I'm talking about his appearance, because this event, and hopefully you all registered. I don't know if I deleted the link, but let me just put the flyer back up here. This is the event that you can go to. If you Google it, I think I may still have the link. Yes, I do. So this is where you go. Bit.ly. It is case sensitive, bit.ly/T ROTTER 150. Go there and register, because you will be able to view this event that is talking about instruction and support for social justice work, how to get funding. I don't remember the exact agenda. Well, y'all know me, I do stuff in real time. Hold on. I got a peer review of the agenda, but tap into this. Go ahead and register here. And just listen in. Sometimes, like you do me, put it on in the background while you're doing other stuff and just get the information. Hold on for 1 second. Let me just do a brief skim of the review. Hold on here. Agenda. Also, while I'm waiting, we have a home. We Need to Know will be on April 23rd at 11 a.m. at Kay's Lounge. I talked to Darren yesterday, and the 4-year update for We Need to Know will take place on April 23rd, 2 weeks from this 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I don't have the calendar. But April 23rd at 11 a.m. at K's, we're bringing our elected, our city officials that have any and everything to do with prevention, intervention, and in the worst case scenario, trauma response around issues of violence. Let me just get this open here. And there it is. Here we go. So this afternoon is a cake cutting and a ceremony that will be taking place with the staff. And tomorrow is what I would call the meat of the event. Frederica Williams from CNN is going to be there, and y'all know I'm going to. Anyway, so there are going to be the Trotter family itself is going to do a reflection. There's an open keynote by Dr. Keisha Blaine, Associate Professor of History at the University of Pittsburgh and a fellow at the Carr Center at Harvard Kennedy School. Cornell Brooks is going to be speaking. Lawrence Baskow, Douglas Amendorf, the Dean of Harvard School, will be speaking. And in the afternoon, there are going to be workshops on environmental justice, reparations, voting rights. There's a plenary in the afternoon. There is a lot of information and just resources that will be available at that event. And so this afternoon, I'm looking at the agenda. I may not have to go this afternoon because I might. Oh. One of my boys is going to be there. I might definitely still go this evening. Anyway, I'm off of here. It's Thursday, so you may see me this afternoon, but you will definitely see me sometime tomorrow morning and with interviews. A few people have asked about the interview with Jensen Atwood. I'm probably going to do that probably on a Sunday evening, maybe after the Easter holiday, because I know a lot of folks are going to be away, and I want to do that in the evening because it's a raw conversation. So it will be a Java After Dark. All right, that's it for me, everyone. I'm tired. Pastor Marion said she registered. Kelly said 2 weeks. What did I tell me about the 2 weeks, Kelly? Oh, let me go check up on these comments. Okay. Auntie Paula, the policymakers at the state level need to do their jobs to push for decentralization, and reps from other cities and towns do their jobs to accept them. Hi, Auntie. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Kenya, good to see you in the room. I didn't get to say it earlier. 2 weeks to Kelly. Thank you. 2 weeks till the 23rd. Thank you. Y'all are so on it. I appreciate y'all when I be off and stuff. I think that's it for me. Yeah, that is it for me today. So I'll be in touch and we'll talk to you. Bye, Belinda. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys either this afternoon, but definitely sometime tomorrow. The way you will never miss a live Java with Jimmy is when you do tap into the live and it asks you get informed or get a notification when Java goes live, click that. All right. Have a wonderful day, y'all. And we'll see you, I don't know, this evening or tomorrow morning. All right. I'm going to play it by ear. Peace, everybody.